A few years ago, I used to struggle with painting a lot. I really wanted to learn to paint faces, but nothing that I did vaguely resembled a photo. And I didn't really understand how to properly start a painting. This mindset that I have is what completely changed things for me. So like the title of this video is paint what you see, not what you know is there. And this is like extremely underrated and useful. So in art terminology, this would mean something like start painting the shapes that you see, start painting the values, start painting the light areas and the dark areas, and stop focusing on each individual facial feature if you want to paint a face or a portrait. And this works with everything, by the way, not only with faces, it also works with landscapes, animals, whatever. I'm just doing it with faces because this is like my personal struggle and I want to tackle this a lot more. I want to focus it more on faces. So how do you actually paint what you see? Stop focusing on the details. Look, there is something very important that you have to know that is, I think, one of the greatest mistakes beginners make. Every single painting has a rough stage. It has to have a rough stage where it's almost like a sculpture, like a low poly 3D model, but it doesn't have any detail. If you can imagine like the early stage of a sculpture where things are more angular and the planes are more simplified, is the exact same thing with a painting, and every painting has to have one of these stages, or otherwise it's just not going to work out. No matter if you're doing a portrait, a landscape, a digital painting, traditional painting, if you're painting an animal, it has to have like this very rough stage where everything, like you have the solid foundation of the shapes and the overall values. And so the idea is that we spend some time on having this solid foundation, this rough stage, and that we invest focus and energy into being accurate in this first stage. So how do we actually do it? We're going to be doing two things. The first thing that we're going to do is squint. We're going to be squinting our eyes, and this will naturally help us get rid of the detail and will make us focus on the big shapes of value and the big areas, okay? And again, the title of this video is paint what you see, not what you know is there. Instead of painting the eyes, or instead of painting the lips or the nose or the hair, you paint the shape that you see instead. And the second thing we're gonna do is a thumbnail. This is like a separate exercise or a separate type of studies that I do aside from my normal paintings. But I found this exercise is incredibly valuable and incredibly fun as well. But if you are a beginner, this exercise will work wonders for you. So let me walk you through the process of making a thumbnail. I'm gonna be painting this random photo that I found on Pinterest. So right away, I'm making a little thumbnail, which is just a small canvas. It's not painting big, because when you paint big, you naturally are looking at the reference, like you focus more on the detail, and it's more complicated to simplify it. Like you can absolutely do it. This is the way I do it. I simplify it in my mind. But if you're not able to simplify it in your mind, you might as well simplify it in the photo and the stuff you're painting in a more obvious way. And so the first thing that I do before even starting to paint is to zoom out the canvas. The idea with these thumbnails is that you don't zoom in, that you're unable to see the little details and the facial features, is that you see everything super small. And at the same time, you combine this exercise with squinting your eyes, because this is going to help you also get rid of detail. And this is basically the way I do it if I was making like a big photo and I had to, or if I'm looking at the face or the photo from up close. So now here is when I start adding color. And there are a few things that I keep in mind when I'm doing this. The first thing is having always a big brush, having big shapes. And the reason why is since we're doing everything super small. I'm not making a sketch, by the way. I'm not making a sketch. I'm painting right away. Because since everything is super small, it's just easier, right? But I'm making big strokes because I just can't see the little detail. There is tiny details that I'm not able to see, so I'm not going to paint them. And that is basically the idea, okay? And this also is an amazing exercise to simplify the entire thing, to make everything just less intimidating as a whole. And the second thing I like to focus on is on this concept of paint what you see, not what you know is there. And what this actually means is that in my mind, I'm not actually painting a face. I'm not painting eyes, I'm not painting lips, I'm not painting nose. I'm not painting anything that I know is on the photo, but instead I'm painting the shapes that I see, I'm painting the values, When you squint your eyes, or let's say when you are outside and you don't have your glasses so everything looks blurry, you can't really see any detail. So everything you're able to see is changes in light, changes in value and the shapes. And this is the idea, that we train our brains like this to simplify all these shapes and values in a more efficient way. And this is my favorite exercise to do it. Absolutely do this exercise. And let me tell you, it takes very little amount of time. It literally takes you like 15 minutes. It shouldn't take you longer than 15 to 20 minutes to finish a thumbnail, by the way, because that means you're not focusing enough on the big shapes. And so this is my mentality. If every single painting that we do, it doesn't matter if it's digital, traditional, whatever we want to paint, everything has to have this rough stage. Why don't we just practice that a lot? Because isn't that like the foundation of a painting in the end? So if we check that box, if we check that part of the painting and that we make sure that it looks accurate, then the rest of the painting is going to look good as well, isn't it? Because if we don't have a solid foundation, if things don't look good when simplified, it's not going to look good when you fully render them. And so this is the interesting part, right? This is the part that kind of blows my mind a little bit still. When you zoom in and you kind of compare it to the photo, it looks like a freaking mess. It doesn't look like a face at all. It just looks like a bit of an abstract painting. But when you zoom out, because the values look good and because the shapes are kind of spot on, it just looks like the photo. Like value-wise, at least, it looks like the photo. And this is kind of what we want. This is what impressionistic artists kind of do. They use very simple and big brush strokes, but their values look so good that it's kind of convincing that you're looking at a photo. It's just very, very lifelike. So this is very aligned with my personal taste in art. And so you might be wondering, okay, I don't want to do this. I don't want to paint in this style. I want to paint in hyper-realism. I want to do a lot more rendered paintings. So should I just skip this step entirely? Absolutely not. Like, matter of fact, if you want to paint more detailed and rendered paintings or photos, whatever, you have to even pay even more attention to this step of the process, because even a hyper realistic painting that looks like a photograph has a rough stage. This is undeniable. And the more you want to achieve hyper realism, the more you want to have this solid foundation. Or if you find appeal in this already like very rough stage, like impressionistic looking style, like I do, that is another option as well. So from this point, we have a rough painting that is accurate in proportions, in value and shapes and color roughly. We already focused on the bigger shapes. So now is the moment when we can focus on the smaller shapes and the smaller details. And that's going to make the thing a lot more rendered. But if you want a more detailed explanation on how to render, how to go from rough to finished, you can watch this video that I did on how to render and add detail. Now, I'm going to give you like a little bonus if you're struggling with color. So before doing that, there's something very quickly that you can do right now. So if you're using Windows in your computer, you can go to the settings app and you just look up filters on the search bar, and then a few options are going to show up. So you just click the one that says color filters, and you're going to click this box right here, allow the shortcut key to toggle filter on or off. So you have the shortcut that you can see here on the screen. What this does is that when you press it, the entire screen turns black and white, or it has like this grayscale filter. And this is extremely useful when it comes to checking your values and knowing if you're going in the right direction. So now I'm going to do another thumbnail, but this time I'm going to be using Grayscale. And it is the exact same process, the exact same method. So you're going to do a little thumbnail, a little canvas. You're going to zoom out. And you're going to be painting the shapes that you see. So a mindset that I have is the less I know about the thing that I'm painting, the better. So this is why I squint. This is why I made the canvas super small like this. And by the way, if you got to this part of the video, that means you are very serious about learning digital art and painting. So right now I'm doing art mentorships, which is like personal coaching for painting and art. So every single day I'm giving you feedback on your art, and then we do like weekly calls to kind of track your progress a little bit, which I found works very well for accountability if you feel like you're not very consistent with making art. So if you like the way I paint, if you like the way I explain things, you can check it out. It's in the top link in the description. It's like a Discord community. And so here I finished the little thumbnail. So yeah, I think that's basically it for the video. So make sure to subscribe, leave a comment to boost the algorithm, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.